What if I told you that your real life hasn't even started yet? Take a moment and think about it. You wake up every day, go to work, meet people, fulfill responsibilities, and play the roles expected of you. But deep inside, do you ever feel that something is missing? That maybe, just maybe, you are not living the life that was truly meant for you. Carl Jung, one of the greatest psychologists in history, believed that most people spend their lives wearing a mask. He called this mask the persona, the version of yourself you show to the world. It is polite, well-behaved, acceptable, and shaped by what others want to see in you. But here's the truth. Behind that mask lives the real you, the authentic self that rarely gets to breathe. And until you meet that true self, Jung argued, your life hasn't even begun. Think about it. How often do you act a certain way just to fit in? How many times have you hidden your true feelings just to be accepted? From the time we are children, society trains us to wear this mask. Parents tell us what is right, teachers reward us for what is acceptable, and friends push us to be who they expect us to be. Slowly, the mask becomes so natural that we forget there is someone real behind it. Jung once said, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." Why terrifying? Because to take off the mask means to face parts of yourself you've ignored for years. It means questioning the life you've been living. It means asking, am I living my truth, or just someone else's version of me? And that's where the journey begins. Because life, real life, doesn't begin with the roles you play. It doesn't begin with money, status, or approval. Life begins the moment you find yourself. The moment you dare to strip away the expectations, the conditioning, and the false identities, and finally meet the person you were always meant to be. Carl Jung believed that the greatest tragedy of human life is that most people never truly live as themselves. Instead, they live as an image, a carefully crafted persona. The persona is the mask you wear in public, the version of yourself you put forward so the world can accept you. It's polite, it's presentable, and it's safe. But it is not the whole truth of who you are. From the earliest years of childhood, this mask begins to form. A child learns that crying too loudly brings scolding, so they suppress their emotions. They learn that being different brings criticism, so they conform. They hear be strong, don't show weakness, don't fail, until slowly, layer by layer, a mask is created. By the time you become an adult, you may not even realize you are wearing it, because the mask feels like your second skin. But here's the cost. When you live as the mask, you betray the real you. You bury your true feelings, your wild dreams, your authentic thoughts. You start to measure your worth not by your inner truth, but by external validation, what others think of you. And this is why so many people feel a silent emptiness inside. Outwardly, they look successful, even happy. But deep down, they feel incomplete, as if something is missing. Think about it. How many times have you laughed when you didn't want to, just to avoid judgment? How many times have you followed a career path, a relationship, or even a lifestyle, not because it was true to your heart, but because it was expected of you? This is the danger of the persona. It gives you acceptance from the outside world, but at the cost of rejecting your inner self. Carl Jung warned that this split between who you truly are and who you pretend to be is the root of inner conflict. The more you identify with the mask, the more distant you become from your authentic self, and with that distance comes anxiety, depression, and a sense of meaninglessness. After all, how can you feel alive if you are living someone else's script? The mask also creates exhaustion. Pretending is hard work. Smiling when you're sad, acting strong when you're fragile, hiding your fears, silencing your truth. All of this drains your spirit. You may not notice it day to day, but over time, it eats away at your energy and joy. But here's the deeper truth. Society rewards the mask. People admire the polished version of you, the role you play in public. That's why most people cling to it, because the world praises the mask while ignoring the soul behind it. Yet, Jung insisted that true life cannot begin until you dare to take off the mask and face yourself as you really are. And this is not easy. It takes courage to stop pretending. It takes strength to say, "This is me, with all my flaws, fears, and imperfections." But the reward is priceless: freedom. Because once you stop living for others, you begin to live for yourself. Once you stop acting, you begin to live authentically. So ask yourself, are you living as the mask, or are you living as you? Are you chasing approval, or are you honoring your truth? The answer may be uncomfortable, but it is the first step toward real transformation. Carl Jung believed that the day you stop hiding behind the persona is the day your real journey begins. And in the next stage, we will uncover what hides behind the mask, the shadow self, the parts of you that you've suppressed, but which hold the key to your wholeness. Carl Jung believed that every human carries two lives: the life they live openly and the life they hide in silence. The first one is shaped by the persona, the mask we wear for society. But the second, more powerful one, is shaped by what Jung called the shadow. The shadow is everything you repress, everything you deny, everything you're afraid to admit even to yourself. It includes your fears, insecurities, forbidden desires, weaknesses, and even hidden strengths. The shadow is not always evil, but it is the part of you you've been taught to hide. A child who is told, "Don't cry, be strong," grows up hiding their vulnerability. A child scolded for being too loud grows up suppressing their confidence. Over time, these repressed parts sink into the unconscious, forming the shadow. Here's the problem: the shadow does not disappear just because you hide it. It waits in the darkness, and it shows itself in ways you cannot control. It leaks through anger, jealousy, self-sabotage, and unexplained anxiety. That's why sometimes you overreact to small things, or why you feel triggered by people who show traits you've buried in yourself. This is not random. This is your shadow trying to speak. Jung warned that ignoring the shadow creates an inner war. One part of you longs to live freely, but the other part is terrified of breaking the mask. You want to chase your dreams, but a voice whispers, "You're not good enough." You want to express your creativity, but fear says, "People will laugh." You want to be honest, but the shadow whispers, "If they see the real you, they'll reject you." And so you remain stuck, half alive, half hidden. Think about how many people you know who look confident on the outside, but are deeply insecure inside. Or those who seem kind and perfect but explode with anger when they're pushed too far. That is the shadow in action. The mask pretends, the shadow resists, and the result is inner conflict. But Jung didn't see the shadow only as darkness. He believed that hidden within it is your greatest potential. Why? Because the parts of yourself you repress often carry your deepest energy. The voice you silenced may be your creativity. The anger you deny may be the power you need to set boundaries. The fear you hide may hold the courage to transform your life. This is why Jung famously said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." In other words, if you don't face your shadow, it will control you. You'll keep repeating the same mistakes, attracting the same struggles, and wondering why life never changes. But the truth is, it's not life holding you back. It's the shadow you refuse to face. So what does this mean for you? It means that life truly begins not when you escape the shadow, but when you integrate it. To face the shadow is to admit, yes, I have flaws. Yes, I have fears. Yes, I am imperfect. But those parts are also me, and they hold lessons I need to grow. This is not weakness. This is courage. Because the moment you accept your shadow, it loses its power to control you. Instead of being your enemy, it becomes your teacher. And once that happens, you stop fighting with yourself. You become whole. So, are you ready to face the parts of yourself you've been running from? Because in the next stage, we'll uncover how embracing your shadow leads to the greatest awakening of all, finding your true self. Carl Jung taught that life does not truly begin till you find yourself. But what does that really mean? It means peeling away the masks, facing the shadow, and finally meeting the authentic you, the one who has been buried under years of conditioning, fear, and expectations. For most of your life, you've been chasing approval. You've been trying to become what others expect, the perfect student, the obedient child, the reliable employee, the strong friend. These roles have value, but they are not your identity. Deep inside, you are more than the masks you wear. The awakening begins when you realize that your worth has never depended on what others think of you. It begins the moment you ask, "Who am I beyond the roles I play?" This question is terrifying, but also liberating. Terrifying because it means stepping away from the familiar patterns that once kept you safe. Liberating because it opens the door to a life that is truly yours. Jung described this process as individuation, the journey of becoming whole, of uniting your conscious and unconscious self, of discovering the true you. Imagine for a moment that your soul is like a diamond. Over the years, it has been covered with dust, the dust of criticism, failure, fear, and comparison. But beneath that dust, the diamond has never lost its shine. Awakening means finally wiping away the layers so the brilliance can emerge. It means recognizing that you were never broken. You were simply hidden. But finding yourself doesn't happen in one dramatic moment. It's a gradual unfolding, a process of awareness. It begins with noticing when you are acting out of fear instead of authenticity. It grows when you question the stories your mind has repeated for years. I'm not good enough. I can't change. I don't deserve happiness. These are not truths. They are old scripts. And awakening means daring to write a new one. Carl Jung believed that when you find yourself, you reclaim your power. You no longer need the mask to survive, because you finally feel safe in your own skin. You stop running from the shadow because you see it as part of your wholeness. Most importantly, you discover that the answers you were seeking outside, in approval, in success, in other people, were always waiting inside you. The awakening is not about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. It's about reconnecting with the childlike part of you that once laughed freely, dreamed boldly, and lived without fear of judgment. And when this happens, everything changes. Your relationships become more authentic because you no longer pretend to be someone you're not. Your work becomes more meaningful because it flows from your true passions instead of external pressure. Your confidence grows naturally, not because you force it, but because you finally trust yourself. This is why Jung said, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Not the mask, not the shadow alone, but the complete, authentic, unapologetic you. That is the moment life truly begins. So ask yourself, are you willing to wake up from the illusion? Are you ready to meet the person you were always meant to be? Because the awakening is not far away. It begins the instant you turn inward and dare to embrace yourself fully. In the next stage, we will uncover the path to individuation, the steps you can take to integrate your mask, your shadow, and your true self into one whole, powerful identity. Finding yourself is not about suddenly discovering a hidden treasure inside you. It's a process, a journey, a path that Carl Jung called individuation, the integration of all parts of yourself into one whole, authentic being. It's not easy, but it is the most rewarding journey you will ever take, because it leads to the only kind of freedom that truly matters, the freedom to be yourself. So, how do you begin this path? The first step is awareness. You cannot change what you cannot see. Start noticing the roles you play in life. When do you feel like you are putting on a mask just to be accepted? When do you silence your truth just to avoid conflict? These moments reveal the weight of your persona. The more aware you become of these masks, the more you begin to separate them from your true identity. Remember, the mask may protect you, but it also suffocates you. Awareness breaks that cycle. Once you see the mask, the next step is to face what lies beneath it, your shadow. This is the part most people run from, but it is where your true power lives. Instead of judging your flaws, fears, or hidden desires, accept them as parts of yourself. Acceptance does not mean acting on every impulse. It means refusing to deny your humanity. As Jung taught, I would rather be whole than good. When you accept your shadow, you stop fighting yourself. You bring peace to the war within. The final step is integration. This is when your conscious self, your mask, and your shadow come together to form a unified identity. It means living authentically, without hiding or pretending. It means speaking your truth with courage, setting boundaries without guilt, and pursuing dreams without apology. Integration is not perfection. It is wholeness. It is the moment you realize you don't have to be flawless to be real. You only have to be true. But how do you practice this in daily life? Start small. When a negative thought arises, don't deny it, observe it. When you feel afraid, don't hide. Ask what that fear is teaching you. When you succeed, don't downplay it, own it. And when you fail, don't collapse, learn from it. Each of these choices builds the muscle of authenticity. Each time you honor your true self, you weaken the grip of the mask. This journey is not without resistance. The mind will try to pull you back into old habits. Society will still reward the mask. Fear will whisper that you are safer pretending. But every step toward authenticity makes you stronger. Every act of courage opens more space for your real self to shine. The path to finding yourself is not about becoming someone new. It's about becoming whole. It's about integrating every part of you, the light, the shadow, the pain, the joy, into a self that is fully alive. That is individuation. That is freedom. And once you take this path, you will never want to go back. Because living half a life, hiding behind masks and fears, will no longer satisfy you. You will crave authenticity like air, because only then do you taste the richness of life. Carl Jung's wisdom is clear. The journey to yourself is the journey to life itself. And in the next stage, we will see the incredible transformation that happens once you find this authentic self, how it changes not just you, but everything around you. When you finally find yourself, everything changes. The world outside may look the same job, the same people, the same challenges, but the way you experience life is completely transformed. Because now you are no longer living through the mask or running from the shadow. You are living as your authentic self. And that changes everything. The first transformation you feel is inner peace. For years you may have carried the heavy burden of pretending, smiling when you didn't want to, hiding emotions, chasing approval. That burden begins to dissolve the moment you live authentically. You no longer waste energy on who you should be. Instead, you rest in who you truly are. This peace is not the absence of problems. It is the presence of wholeness. Even when challenges come, you face them with calm strength, because you are no longer at war with yourself. The second transformation is courage. Authentic living demands bravery. It means speaking your truth, setting boundaries, and risking disapproval. But here's the paradox. When you find yourself, courage flows naturally. You no longer need permission to exist. You no longer fear rejection because you realize rejection of the mask is not rejection of the real you. And with that courage comes freedom. Freedom to say yes when your heart agrees. Freedom to say no without guilt. Freedom to follow the path that is yours, not one that was forced upon you. The third transformation is relationships that are real. When you live behind a mask, your connections are fragile, because people are relating not to you but to your performance. But when you live authentically, your relationships deepen. Some may fall away. Those who only liked your mask may no longer stay. But the ones who remain, and the ones who arrive, will love you for who you truly are. These are the relationships that bring strength, growth, and unconditional acceptance. The fourth transformation is meaningful living. Jung believed that purpose is not something handed to you from the outside. It rises from within when you align with your true self. When you stop living by fear and expectation, you naturally gravitate toward what makes you feel alive. Your work, your creativity, your contributions, they all shift from obligation to passion. Suddenly, life is not something you endure. It is something you embrace. But perhaps the greatest transformation is wholeness. For the first time, you are not divided between the mask and the shadow. You don't have to hide parts of yourself or pretend to be flawless. You are whole, light and dark, strong and fragile, wise and imperfect. This wholeness is where true power lies, because you can finally live without contradiction. Carl Jung described this as the privilege of becoming who you truly are. And when that happens, life takes on a new quality. Ordinary moments feel extraordinary because they are lived authentically. Decisions become clearer because they come from your core, not from fear. Challenges become opportunities because you trust yourself to face them. And this transformation doesn't just impact you, it ripples into the world around you. Authentic people inspire others to drop their masks. Your courage gives others courage. Your truth reminds others of their truth. Living authentically becomes not just your personal freedom, but a gift to everyone you touch. So, what does this mean for you? It means the life you've always wanted is not out there waiting. It's here, inside you, waiting for you to step into it. And the moment you choose authenticity, you step into a world of peace, courage, real connection, and meaning. That is transformation. That is freedom. And in the final part of this journey, we will uncover the most powerful truth of all. When you live authentically, you don't just transform yourself, you become limitless. You have traveled far on this journey, from the mask of the persona, through the darkness of the shadow, into the awakening of the authentic self. But Carl Jung's wisdom does not stop there. Because once you find yourself, once you dare to live authentically, you discover something extraordinary. You are limitless. Think about it. For years, you lived under the control of voices that weren't even yours. Society's expectations, family's demands, fears from the past. Those voices kept you small. They told you what you could and could not do. They whispered that you weren't enough, that you shouldn't try, that you must stay inside the box. And as long as you believed them, you were trapped. But the moment you stop identifying with the mask, the moment you stop running from the shadow, the moment you step into your true self, those limits dissolve. You realize they were never real. They were illusions created by fear. And now for the first time, you can see beyond them. This is the ultimate transformation. When you live authentically, the world opens up in ways you could not imagine. Suddenly, risks don't terrify you, because you know failure does not define you. Challenges don't crush you, because you trust your strength. Rejection doesn't break you, because you no longer measure your worth by approval. You are free, free to create, to explore, to live. Carl Jung believed that this state is not about perfection, but about wholeness. You don't have to erase your flaws or eliminate fear. You only have to stop letting them control you. When you integrate your light and your shadow, when you accept all of who you are, you move with a different kind of power, the power of someone who cannot be shaken by circumstances. This is what it means to be limitless. It doesn't mean you will never face obstacles. It means obstacles no longer define your life. It doesn't mean you will never feel fear. It means fear no longer stops you. It doesn't mean life will be easy. It means you will be strong enough, authentic enough, whole enough to live fully. No matter what. Think of the people who inspire you most. The ones who shine, who create, who live with passion. They are not superhuman. They are simply people who dared to step beyond the mask. They dared to say, "This is me." And in doing so, they discovered the same truth you are discovering now. The moment you live authentically, you unlock the infinite potential within you. Jung's message was not just psychology, it was a call to freedom. "When I let go of who I am," wrote Lao Tzu, "I become what I might be." This is the same truth. When you let go of the false self, you step into your real self, and your real self has no limits. So here is the final challenge. Stop crawling through life. As Rumi said, when you were born to fly, stop believing the old stories that kept you small. Stop waiting for permission to live. Your life does not begin with success, approval, or recognition. It begins the moment you find yourself, and once you do, you realize the most powerful truth of all: you are already free. Free to create, free to love, free to live without apology, free to be limitless. So, Amna, the question is not whether life can change. The question is, will you choose to begin? Because the door to your true self is open, and the life waiting on the other side is more extraordinary than you ever imagined.